Hello and welcome to News Round, a recap of stories in the week. I'm Tenyola Shoboale, the headlines. Southern governors insist on zoning presidency to the south in 2023. Industrial court orders resident doctors to return to work. NARD moves to appeal judgment. Flood kills 3 persons in Trademore Estate, Abuja. Plus, West African bloc ECOWAS resorts to sanctions over Guinea and Mali coups. With the Southern governor's decision reached at Enugu to produce a president from the south in 2023. Aside from this, the governors also took further the resolve to implement the anti-open grazing legislation. The governor's communique expressed satisfaction with the rate at which the Southern governors are enacting the law, especially in alignment with the uniform template adopted in their previous meeting, and urged states that have not done so to align expeditiously.
Whenever these faces appear on the board, it can be expected that the occasion is one where serious issues are discussed. This is the 3rd meeting of the Southern Governors Forum in 4 months, and this time the venue is Enugu State. Once pleasantries are concluded, the key topics deliberated on are read out by the chairman of the forum, Governor Rotimi Akeredolu of Ondo State. Though not first on the list in the communique, the stance of the 16 governors on the direction of the 2023 election is a headliner.
The meeting reiterated its earlier position that the next president of Nigeria must come from the southern part of Nigeria in line with policies of equity, justice, and fairness.
Next is the matter of grazing bills and laws, which Governor Akeredolu points out is not one the South is going to let disrupt the peace in the region.
The meeting expressed satisfaction with the rate at which the states in the southern Nigeria are enacting or amending the anti-open grazing laws, which align with the uniform template and aspiration of southern governors, and encourage the states that are yet to enact the law to do so expeditiously.
The recent passage of the Petroleum Industry Bill into law was applauded. However, the conversation on VAT is one the governors are adamant will have to be handled by them.
The meeting resolved to support the position that the collection of VAT falls within the powers of the states. The meeting expressed satisfaction with the handling of issues around the PIA, Petroleum Industry Act, and ownership of NNPC by the larger Nigerian Governors Forum.
A lot has been said, with a lot more hopefully taken away. How the communique is translated to a larger spectrum for possible implementation is a wait-and-see matter.
The face-off between the federal government and the Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors is yet to be over. This time, the National Industrial Court has ordered the members of the Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors to return to work, pending the determination of the substantive suit before it. Presiding Judge Justice Bashir Al-Kadi gave the order, stating that the application by the federal government compelling the doctors to suspend their strike was meritorious, as no amount of money could compensate for the loss of lives in the circumstances.
Following the inability of the resident doctors and the federal government to sign a memorandum of understanding, the parties are in court for a second time this week. The earlier negotiation ended without a resolution, as the disparities in the timeline of the original Memorandum of Understanding and the need to create new ones became the bone of contention. The consuls disagree on the content of the Memorandum of Understanding.
The MOU which they refused to sign, which was dated 20th of August, there were certain things that we agreed on our own part as federal government to do within 1 week. That was as far back as 20th of August. Of course, 1 week had gone since then. So what we basically did was to now say 1 week from today. So that is not a substantial alteration, but they were not prepared.
That was a misinformation because the addendum prepared by the government, by the claimants, which was given to our client yesterday, that addendum recognizes that the timelines in the memorandum of understanding signed on the 21st day of August this year, those timelines have lapsed.
On the federal government's application for the doctors to be compelled to return to work, the court agreed with the federal government, insisting that resident doctors render essential services, which is essential to reduce the hardship of patients.
The court, in its ruling, agreed with us on the issues canvassed and specifically made an order restraining defendants from continuing with the strike and also compelling them to go back to work. For me, and also the court also further asked parties to also continue to negotiate while they are at work.
As lawyers, no lawyer would say disobey court order. But the law also provides for appeal against the order, which our client would consider.
The resident doctors can approach the Court of Appeal to seek for a stay of execution on the order of the Industrial Court.
Well, the doctors are not backing down yet, as members have rejected what they describe as an unfair judgment by the National Industrial Court. The association says it has instructed its lawyers to take appropriate action to challenge the court's decision while the nationwide strike continues.
The Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors was in court today to continue as a continuation of the processes that was filed by the Ministry of Labour against the association. The judge, in his wisdom, has said that we should suspend all hostilities, meaning that we should suspend our action immediately. But as an association, we feel that that's an arbitration or that's an anomaly, because a healthy doctor is a doctor that has been paid all of his dues and a doctor that has all his remuneration settled. We, the Association of Resident Doctors, we have filed for a stay of execution and an appeal. This implies that the strike continues because we have actually filed for a stay of execution of the ruling or of the judgment, albeit whatever happened in the courts today. We continue with our strike. We have intimated our members, and we hope that in the interest of all Nigerians, that the mental health of the Nigerian doctor is taken as an important part of the daily living of the Nigerian doctor.
We now shift our attention to the National Assembly as they resume for a new legislative year, which comes with the President's request on borrowing more funds for infrastructure development. While delivering his resumption speech at the Senate's chamber in Abuja, President of the Senate, Senator Ahmad Lawan, said the National Assembly is instrumental to turning around the nation's economic fortunes.
Federal lawmakers resumed plenary after adjourning for 8 weeks for their annual recess. During this time, a member of the House of Representatives, Mr. Omolafe Adedayo from Ondo State, passed away. And as is customary, both chambers had to adjourn. But before the adjournment, President of the Senate, Senator Ahmed Lawan, reads his welcome address, highlighting the successes recorded so far by the 9th Senate.
According to the second quarter GDP report released by the National Bureau of Statistics, Nigeria's gross domestic product, GDP, increased by 5.01% in the second quarter of 2021, strongest growth since fourth quarter 2014. This can be attributed to the early passage and subsequent implementation of the budgets. The National Assembly is proud to be a major factor in turning around the economic fortunes of our dear country.
He believes that the issue of insecurity is still of utmost importance even as a new legislative year commences.
Distinguished colleagues, the fight against security challenges in our country requires continued engagements between the National Assembly and the executive arms of government. It also requires continuous engagements with our citizens for the necessary and desired results to be achieved. We must therefore remain resolute and focused in achieving those. The National Assembly, indeed the federal government, has no more serious challenges to tackle than insecurity today.
The Ninth National Assembly prides itself in passing some critical pieces of legislation, such as the Petroleum Industry Bill and the Electoral Act Amendment Bill. There's also the public hearings on the Constitution Amendment, as well as the Medium-Term Expenditure Framework and Fiscal Strategy Paper, which have been concluded. So what's next for the federal lawmakers in the new legislative year?
The budget apparently will take our attention. It's coming up soon. And we need also to tidy up some of the issues surrounding the Electoral Act, which, of course, so we have some discrepancies that we have to harmonize with the Senate.
Yes, we may not be able to achieve the number of bills that were presented in the last 2 years, but obviously we will not also rest in ensuring that Nigeria is safe to the best of our ability in terms of insecurity.
We have a myriad of problems confronting this country and its citizens. Poverty is on the rise, you're very aware. And very many Nigerians can hardly afford 2 square meals a day.
The National Assembly may also consider wading into the controversy surrounding the value-added tax, which is currently on the concurrent list. It is highly important for the National Assembly to quickly but meticulously conclude its plans, because 2022 is regarded to an extent as an election year, during which time the business of lawmaking is likely to take the backseat as members begin to seek re-election come 2023. Terry Ikumi, Channels Television News.
And away from the National Assembly to nature's wrath, as an overnight pour resulted in the loss of 3 lives after massive floods took over the Trademore estate in Abuja.
Residents of Trademore Estate, one of the residential estates on the airport road in the nation's capital, trying to salvage what is left of their belongings after flood caused havoc in the area. Fallen fences, cars washed away, some of the scenes that trailed the Sunday night heavy downpour. The waters have receded, but the impact is huge. Government officials confirm 3 people dead.
We've been on the search since that yesterday, and this morning we have been able to discover 3 bodies.
For some of the survivors, it was a narrow escape.
This is my very house. I was inside. In fact, when this thing happened, I have to climb the roof. I was inside the roof all through till it finished.
The flood entered my car and I have to open the door to rescue myself. I just have to rescue myself because the car wasn't important. It's my life that was important.
Some residents blame government authorities for the problem, but officials insist the occupants built on waterways.
Development control have not done their job. That's why we're having this problem. It's not about somebody building somewhere. You have to take your design to development control for approval. And if you approve this kind of thing and then you are having people having to die every year because of your incompetence, then there's a problem here.
The water must find its level. So if you block it, it must surely find a way of reacting. And this is what is happening. The flood is reacting.
Similar flooding occurred last year in this estate, killing 1 person. The government marked some buildings for demolition, but nothing was done owing to litigation. Going forward, government officials say drastic measures must be taken, but this may also be resisted by residents.
We cannot continue this way. I think in all manners, we are going to take it to the highest authority. Certain houses will just have to give way for the waterway to have its free path.
Nobody is coming here to demolish anybody's property. We will not allow that. What we want is for government to invest in drainage system and get this flood moving all the time. A whole of London is on top of water, for crying out loud.
The Nigerian Hydrological Services Agency had earlier predicted that there will be flooding this year in 28 states and the Federal Capital Territory, a warning that should be heeded by action to prevent loss of lives and property.
When News Round returns in just a moment, the Central Bank's Monetary Policy Committee keeps key rates unchanged. That's in a moment. Stay with us. Thanks for staying with us. 50 Nigerians who formed the 2021-2022 cohort of the Nigerian Chevening Scholars have been hosted to a pre-departure reception following awards of scholarships to pursue their master's degree across various universities in the UK. The event held at the British High Deputy Commission in Lagos. A new journey begins here for the recipients of the 2021-2022 Chevening Scholarship as they prepare for their studies in the UK.
Exciting opportunities ahead.
In his opening remarks, the British Deputy High Commissioner in Lagos congratulates the awardees on their success and their resilience.
You're going to get to travel to the UK and study, I think, is testament to your resilience.
Out of thousands who applied from across the world, 50 Nigerians were successful, chosen from different walks of life.
I feel so elated, honestly. I feel so glad. I feel so happy, so glad because it's a rare opportunity. It is.
I look forward to learning a lot, research and analytical skills, and to bring the lessons learned back to come and help the health sector.
This year, one fellow is also selected. The president of the Chevening Alumni Association of Nigeria, Kesta Osahenye, alongside many other alumni and guests, are here to felicitate with the new scholars.
They should bring back home those values from the UK, the friendship that Nigeria and the UK has established all over the years. They should bring back innovative ideas that will help move our country forward.
We have so many great Cheveners amongst us. Yes.
Board Chairman, Chevening Alumni Nigeria, Dr. John Momo, urges the young professionals to use the opportunity to bring change to Nigeria.
Those 365 days should be days that will impact on your lives. Make them special so that when you come back, as you think about the problems that Nigeria is grappling with, you try to fathom some solutions about what you're going to do when you get back to impact on our great country, Nigeria. So change is in the horizon. It is to be led by Cheveners. Because what Cheveners don't do is wait for change. They make things happen.
Chevening Awards are highly competitive, and to be selected for an award is a mark of potential and prestige.
8,000 applications, 7,000 eligible applications, and a 50 lucky recipient. And we think it's just an excellent opportunity for us, but also really for those Nigerians to enrich themselves, to study, to learn. And, you know, COVID's been a really tough time. So the prospect of going to the UK, having that study experience, and all, hopefully, of the richness of the experience of living in the UK, it's fantastic for them and fantastic for us.
Cheveners are expected to return home at the end of their studies, equipped with new knowledge, networks, qualifications, and confidence to implement positive change. Teniola Shobowale, Channels Television News. And Nigeria has maintained its key lending rate at 11.5%, with the asymmetric corridor of plus 100 and minus 700 basis points around the MPR. The Central Bank's Monetary Policy Committee, after its two-day bi-monthly meeting, also retained the cash reserve ratio at 27.5% and liquidity ratio at 30%.
8 weeks ago, the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria came down hard on bureau de change operators, putting an end to weekly allocations and sale of foreign exchange over illegitimate transactions. Consequently, the regulator directed banks to commence the sale of foreign exchange. It seems like that matter is far from over, as the Central Bank, through the Monetary Policy Committee, insists that the only recognized foreign exchange rate in the country is through the import and export window.
We have unwittingly supported activities of those who illegally buy foreign exchange from this illegal market, carry them in aircrafts out of the country, and go to buy arms and ammunition, and bring them back into the country and conduct crime, whether it is Boko Haram, whether it is kidnapping, whether it is all sorts of nefarious activities. We, central bank, take our country's dollars and sell to people to go and buy arms and ammunition to come and hurt us. That is what we're seeing that people want us to continue to do. We cannot do that.
Just before this warning to Nigerians to only use the banks for their forex transactions, the Monetary Policy Committee put all its parameters on hold to allow for economic recovery.
The MPC made the decision to hold all policy parameters constant, believing that a hold stance will enable the continued permeation of current policy measures in supporting the recorded growth recovery and macroeconomic stability. Committee therefore decided by a unanimous vote to retain the monetary policy rate at 11.5%. In summary, MPC voted as follows. 1, retain MPR at 11.5%. 2, retain asymmetric corridor at plus 100 and minus 700 basis points around the corridor. And retain the CRR at 27.5%. 4, retain liquidity ratio at 30%.
Members of the committee are optimistic of a rebound in the economy, just as they urge the government to address issues of insecurity to boost food production and investment in the country.
Produce a valid COVID-19 card and gain entry into the office for work. That's the decision being enforced by the Edo State government. Those without their cards were sent home this week, with their fate to be decided later. This comes on the heels of the announcement by Godwin Obaseki on September 3rd, 2021, asking residents to take COVID-19 vaccination or risk being barred from social gatherings.
If you don't get a vaccination card, you won't enter, no matter who you think you are.
Like the saying about charity beginning at home, the enforcement of no COVID-19 vaccination card, no entry to government facilities, begins at the government house in Benin City, the Edo State capital.
Thank you, man. Oh, God, don't disturb her now, please. Please, ma, welcome home, man. Let's go in. Thank you, ma'am.
Security agents carry out their checks. There are no excuses on their brief. A member of the COVID-19 response, however, believes that the opening day might still offer some grace to workers.
The enforcement essentially started with government institutions today. So if an officer of government had to go back home to get a card and comes late to work today, I'm sure, their directors are going to give them waivers. Even if at the end of the day you're not able to turn up for work today, there's a good explanation for it. Oh, I left my card and I had to go back home. It was too late for me to come back.
At the State Secretariat, the head of the enforcement team, Haruna Yusuf, is part of the screening committee.
It's in the office. I left it.
Who will now follow you to the office? We don't have that instruction. Our instruction is stay at the gate. You don't have card, go home.
Mr. Yusuf insists that this card verification exercise is not a one-off event.
From our action plan, this is our pilot case. We're starting from government facilities. And going forward, we're going to continue to spread. It's not a one-shot exercise.
The Edo State government insists that the message is clear. Vaccination is not compulsory, but accessing government facilities without being vaccinated would be impossible.
And finally, on News Round, leaders of West Africa's regional bloc, ECOWAS, have imposed travel bans and a freeze on the financial assets of Guinea's coup leaders and their families. The decision comes after the leaders held an extraordinary summit in Accra, Ghana.
West African leaders gathered in Ghana's capital, Accra, on Thursday to decide how they can steer Guinea back towards constitutional rule after a coup ousted President Alpha Condé last week. The 15-nation economic community of West African states condemned the putsch and has suspended Guinea from the bloc's decision-making bodies. Ghana's president, Nana Akufo-Addo, is the ECOWAS chairman, and he says he's counting on the leaders to help offer durable solutions to the crises.
We are required to take informed decisions on these matters that will have long-term consequences for the stability and the defense of the democratic values of our region. I count on you, Excellencies, to help proffer durable solutions to the crisis. And I'm confident that, as in the past, we will rise to the occasion.
Regional heads of states decided to freeze the financial assets and impose travel bans on Guinea's junta members and their relatives, insisting on the release of President Alpha Condé on a short transition.
Looking now at the political situation and the way forward, the head of state insisted that the transition must be very short. Must be very short. And they even went to the way of clearly stating that the transition should not last more than 6 months.
The bloc also piled more pressure on Mali's transitional government, demanding they stick to an agreement to organize elections for February 2022 and present an electoral roadmap by next month, according to the post-summit communique.
They reaffirm again that the date set for the election, end February 2022, is not negotiable.
The junta in Guinea, led by Mamadi Doumbouya, a former member of the French Foreign Legion, is holding consultations with various public figures, groups and business leaders in the country to map a framework for a transitional government. As part of the 4-day consultation, the junta is meeting with Guinea's main business lobby and executives of mining firms operating in its bauxite, gold, iron ore and diamond sector. The junta has not said how long the transitional government will last or who will lead it.
And that's News Round this week. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Teniola Shiboale. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.